Lego Landlord here. Today we are going over Turbo. So here we have Turbo in his tiny little space shuttle mode. You can see how I've kind of integrated the spaciness of that into him. I wanted to use these curved parts alongside with these new parts just to make a simple little cute transformer. You can see that I've added the boosters at the back. You have a tiny little cockpit, which if you want, it does take a bit of imagination, but it can open. Not really much of an interior to speak of, but otherwise it is very clean. I could have gotten the color consistency more accurate. I could have gotten him a bit redder, but I think he works at the scale. You can see I've built a little stand for him just out of a clear minifigure head and a clear rounded 2x2 brick that just attaches to his head, and you can just set that off to the side to prepare for transformation. And before we get to transformation, we obviously do have to do a couple of comparisons. First off, here we have the LEGO Ferrari F8 Tributo driver. Here we have a proper human in scale, and you can see that this does kind of work as a space shuttle. Not really much going on there. And here we have Iron Man. So you can kind of see what's going on there. And finally, here we have Bumblebee. And you can kind of see he is still in Legends scale. Most of my Transformers are, because that is just the scale I tend to build in. But anyways, I think that's about it for comparisons. Now, before we get to transformation, he is a space shuttle, so you'd expect him to connect to the boosters and the main cylindrical rockets of the ship. So I've devised a little connector piece with just 2 jumper plates, and these can connect into the cylindrical pieces of the booster. Now, if you want to connect this, all you have to do is go take these 2 jumper plates and connect them into the bottom of these, like so. Now, I think it would work pretty well. I haven't tested it out yet with a real rocket booster, but I think it looks pretty well for scale, and it looks fairly futuristic yet realistic. So finally, for transformation, it is, again, very simple, yet pretty satisfying, honestly. First off, you want to go and take these sections and bring these back. Then you can rotate these around, like so. And then finally, you can rotate these little end pieces around, and you can just leave those there for now. Now what you want to do is go take the sides of the cockpit and bring these up. Now you can bring these out. For now, you'll notice this side is very loose. I don't know if it's because I've been beating on this headlight piece for so long, but I just think it's me doing that. Want to bring these out, then swing these back around, like so. You will rotate these up, like this. You can then swing these in. And here's my favorite part of this. It's just so utterly satisfying. You want to bring these down, and then finally collapse this in, and that perfectly lines up. I just think that was satisfying. Now finally, you can bring the forearms back, kind of splay the little feet out, so that he will stand properly. Get him all adjusted. And there you have Turbo in his robot mode. So here we have Turbo in his robot mode. And according to his tiny little feet, you would basically assume that he is a little bit hard to stand up, in which he is, because if you just set him down, he will fall over. So you gotta kind of gently place him down and rotate his feet accordingly to where you want to stand him. This does not mean that he can't pull off poses, but he does have a lot of articulation for that. So let's just get right into that. He does have a 360 swivel at the head. He does have this joint, which I don't think that is useful. He does have a butterfly joint back and forth at the bicep shoulder bit. He does have a 360 on this arm. And then he has a bicep swivel. He does have an elbow bend, and that's about it for the arms. Now, he does have an ab crunch, which I really like, but it does look a bit donkey. Kind of looks like he's trying to reach for something, and he just can't because of a beer belly. That's one of the downsides to his robot mode, but you kind of get used to it eventually. Now, you do have a outwards motion at the legs. You do have this little jumper plate connection, which I don't really utilize much, but I thought it was pretty neat. And you do have the foot that can rotate, but I usually use the foot for balance. So for comparisons, here we have the Ferrari F8 Tributo driver. I think I'll call him Jake from now on. So if you hear me call him Jake in later videos, you will know who I'm talking about. Here's Iron Man. Here is the little Lego dude. And you can see how they scale next to each other. I think in my universe, Turbo is a bit out of scale, considering that he is around the same size as a car when he should be able to fit 2 people. But I think it works well enough. Here we have Bumblebee from 2007 Legends. And you can see that they scale pretty closely together, even though that they're really disproportionate, to say the least. And now for a special guest, here we have Spacey, who I thought I would introduce because, well, he's another space shuttle. He is not a Transformer, but he is a GoBot, and he is the only space-themed GoBot I have, or Transformer for that matter, so I thought it would just make sense. But that's it for comparisons. Let's move on to accessories. Now you're probably jumping in your seat thinking, no, LEGO Landlord does not do accessories. How would he done an accessory? Well, I was thinking that he was a space-themed robot. I made him a tiny little space helmet, and to equip this, you just want to take the head, just rip his head off like this, and then just put the space helmet on, like so. And there you have a space helmet. Now, I thought I'd give him a space helmet because he was originally built with a space helmet. The backstory behind this is he is a space bot, so he goes to space to take down another Decepticon, which we will hint hint get to next video. But moving right along, he does prefer to wear his space helmet most times because he is in orbit most of the time. Plus, just tell me you look at that face and not think it's ugly, considering it does have cheeks and all. Now, in the future, I will be starting to make guns for my Transformers, even though in my head they're way better just fighting with fists. Not every civilization amongst this universe has to have guns, right? And I will be introducing stories like I do on my Instagram, but those will either be in the description or just a little summed up version in the end of videos. For example, for Turbo, he is currently flying up to orbit. He has to align his orbit with Novatron, which will be my next video, to take Novatron down, and then later it appears that Novatron has died. But we will get to that in the next video. Alright, I'll see you guys later. Bye.